This movie, The Imposter, is not intended to bash any nationality, race or people. Instead, The Imposter movie will expose the hierarchy religious system. A system that has spread its corruption throughout the dominant world religions. This system will soon unite under the coming imposter. Please note, the FOY ministry believe in using the set-apart Hebrew names for the Creator and His Son. Most say God, Lord or Jesus. YaHuShuWaH is the correct pronunciation of the Father's name. YaHuShuWaH is the correct pronunciation of the Savior's name. Remember, he was a Hebrew, therefore, he had a Hebrew Jewish name. If you have more questions on why we use the Hebrew names, please view our DVD titled, The Great Conspiracy. Since the very beginning, the screenplay has been written, every line carefully thought out. The stage, known as Planet Earth, is going through its final transformation. The actors know their lines. They have been practicing this for years. Props are about finished, and the blue beams are now in place. There is no shortage of extras. All want a piece of this pie. The clone shells have been glamorized, waiting to be possessed, appearing as messengers of light. The last makeup call will soon be heard as the wolves scramble to put on the sheep's clothing. The fence, completely empty, because the lukewarmers are starting to get cold. The directors are working out the last flaws while the world leaders are giving their allegiance. The world is ready. Are you? As the curtain of this earth age comes to a rapid closing, our desire is to work in YaHuShuWaH's vineyard until the very end, reaching as many lost sheep of Israel as we can. The ram's horn is blowing. As believers, we must body of mashiach are told to be watchmen, as we are told in YaHuShuWaH and YaHuShuWaH and Satan. That is right, the real battle of good versus evil. This present earth age is being run by Satan. That is why it has been written, in 2 Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 4, that the God of this age has blinded the minds of the unbelieving. This, being known in scriptures as Satan, the devil, or even the dragon, tried to tempt our Messiah when he took him to a high place, offering him all the reins of the world, and, if he would only bow down and serve him, as explained in Luke chapter 4, verse 5, he continues with telling YaHuShuWaH,
"And the devil said to him, All this authority I shall give you, and their esteem, for it has been delivered to me, and I give it to whomever I wish. If, then, you worship before me, all shall be yours."
YaHuShuWaH did not give in to temptation by the mere riches of this earth age that will soon pass. When he was handed over to Pilate, what did he tell him?
In John, chapter 18, verse 36, YaHuShuWaH answered, "My reign is not of this world. If my reign were of this world, my servants would fight, so that I should not be delivered to the Yehudim. But now, my reign is not from here."
In Yohanan, one nation is of this earth age, while the other nation is not of this age. This two-nation theme is carried over into the religious system as well. This whole battle, beloved ones, is over who you worship. Do you worship YaHuShuWaH, the creator of the Shayaman, the heaven, or the counterfeit? Since there is only two nations, it makes perfect sense that there are only two women also. And of course it's the bride of the Lamb, who is dressed in white, symbolizing truth and righteousness.
and a great sign was seen in the heaven, a woman clad with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head, a crown of 12 stars. And being pregnant, she cried out in labor and in pain to give birth. Revelation chapter 12, verses 1 through 2. Let us be glad and rejoice, and give him praise, for the marriage of the Lamb has come, and his wife prepared herself, and to her it was given to be dressed in fine linen, for the fine linen is the righteousness of the set-apart ones. Revelation chapter 19, 7 through 8. For I am jealous for you with a jealousy according to Elohim, for I gave you in marriage to one husband, to present you as an innocent maiden to Messiah.
9 times in the book of Revelation, we discover that the bride of Messiah has 2 distinguished attributes about them. They bear witness to the word of YaHuShuWaH by keeping his Kodesh commands and by their belief in YaHuShuWaH.
Who bore witness to the word of Elohim and the witness of YaHuShuWaH Messiah, to all he saw. Revelation 1:2. I Yohanan, both your brother, and co-sharing in pressure, and, in the reign and endurance of YaHuShuWaH Messiah, came to be on the island that is called Patmos for the word of Elohim and for the witness of YaHuShuWaH Messiah. Revelation 1:9. I know your works. See, I have set before you an open door, and no one is able to shut it, that you have little power, yet have guarded my word, and have not denied my name. Revelation 3:8. And when he opened the 5th seal, I saw under the altar the being of those having been slain for the word of Elohim and for the witness which they held. Revelation 6:9. And they overcame him because of the blood of the Lamb, and because of the word of their witness, and they did not love their lives to the death. Revelation 12:11. Here's the endurance of the set-apart ones. Here are those guarding the commands of Elohim, and the belief of YaHuShuWaH. Revelation 14:12. And they sing the song of Moses, the servant of Elohim, and the song of the Lamb, saying, Great and marvelous are your works, YaHuShuWaH the Almighty, righteous and true are your ways, O sovereign of the set-apart ones. Revelation 15:3. And I saw thrones, and they sat on them, and judgment was given to them. And the lives of those who had been beheaded because of the witness they bore to YaHuShuWaH, and because of the word of Elohim, and who did not worship the beast, nor his image, and did not receive his mark upon their foreheads or upon their hands, and they lived and reigned with Messiah for 1,000 years. Revelation chapter 20, verse 4.
The other woman is the apostate church. Mystery Babylon can be traced back to the book of beginnings.
But we shall do whatever has gone of our own mouth, to burn incense to the sovereignness of the heavens and pour out drink offerings to her, as we have done, we, and our fathers, our sovereigns and our head, in the cities of Yehudah and in the streets of Jerusalem. And we had plenty of food, and were well off and saw no evil. But since we ceased burning incense to the sovereignness of the heavens, and pouring drink offerings to her, we have lacked all and were consumed by the sword and by scarcity of food. Jeremiah 44:17-18.
Today many have given Ashtoreth the title, Mother of God, who they claim is Mary. Nimrod was the sovereign of Babylon. He, and his mother and wife were also leaders of a mystical cult. He wanted to make a name for themselves, as described in Genesis 11:4. This cult leader thought up a grand scheme. By uniting the world, he could be the sole ruler. So off he went, convincing the people to build a high tower. This tower reached into the heavens, making them gods, so they thought. As they carried on engineering this tower, YaHuShuWaH saw them, and thus he changed their language. Confusion broke out amongst the people as suddenly, and instantly, they could no longer understand one another. Being full of fear, many of them fled in all directions. This became known as the Tower of Babel, also known as the Tower of Confusion. To this day, Nimrod's followers are still building this tower, wanting to unite the world. You can clearly see the 5-pointed star turned to make the satanic goat's head. Compare the pictures of the Tower of Babel and the EU Parliament building. Communion wafer, showbread, the stole, worn by Catholic priests, the Jewish talit, works based on salvation. The Talmud. No one can be saved if they are not part of the Catholic Church. All Gentiles must follow the Noahide laws to be righteous ones. When the torch was handed to the RCC, the old Mithra cult, something incredible happened. Constantine became the first bishop of Rome. What soon emerged was the Dark Ages. Terror was unleashed on all heretics. They made a religion called the Universal Catholic Church, ruler of the state of Rome. Wow, that is something new, huh? Actually, if we go back a little further in history, we will find there was another religious group that consisted of 71 men. They had rulership over a state, and the religion was Judaism. Just like the Church of Rome, the RCC released terror on heretics, so did the Sanhedrin, prior to when the RCC released terror on those early believers. We must remember that the Sanhedrin are not ordinary followers of Judaism, but they are the sect known as Zionist. This council not only condemned the Messiah for blasphemy, but they sought believers from town to town. Some they put in prison, others they murdered. Remember, Shaul was given permission to hunt these early believers down, seeking to kill them, Acts 26:9-11. Nevertheless, we must ask, why? The reason is that the Sanhedrin, made up of 71 rabbis, is indoctrinated into the Jewish mysticism known as Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, or the Christian Kabbalah. These chief priests are not from the Levitical priesthood but have been handpicked during the time of exile. The Messiah tells us in Matthew 23:8 that we are to call no one rabbi.
But you, do not be called rabbi, for one is your teacher, the Messiah, and you are all brothers.
Yet, to this day, many hold onto this title, looking for some special recognition and ordained position, despite the words of YaHuShuWaH. He tells us that we are all brothers. Many of these men and women who call themselves rabbi have lordship over the people. This is the doctrine of the Nicolaitans, which YaHuShuWaH hates. We know YaHuShuWaH used simple fishermen to go spread his Bessara and not the rabbis of his day. These men are against the Messiah. That is why it is written in John 1:11, He came to his own and his own did not receive him. These brood of vipers, serpents, hypocrites, and blind guides as the Messiah called them, in Matthew chapter 23 convinced many to impale YaHuShuWaH and let Barabbas free. Satan wanted to destroy the Messiah. That is why he worked through the king of Judea, the chief priest and the scribes to murder all male children born in Bethlehem, 2 years and younger. They claim to be from the seed of Abraham, but Messiah tells us who they really are.
You are of your father the devil, and the desires of your father you desire to do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and has not stood in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks the lie, he speaks of his own, for he